My name's Holly Bell, I'm a blogger at Recipes from a Normal Mum, and I'm back in the Scoff kitchen today with my Keep Calm and Bake series to make some melted snowman biscuits. First thing to do is take some soft butter and pop it into your mixer. Now, if you don't have a stand mixer, you could use an electric handheld mixer, or you could use a wooden spoon, but it will take a bit longer. So this is probably going to take about 4 minutes to cream it. So you put the head down and start off slowly. And then once it's all mixed in, we'll get it up to a higher speed. If you're doing it with the wooden spoon, think about passing it around to people, because it'll probably take between 6 and 8 minutes, maybe longer, depending on how much elbow grease you put into it. And with a handheld mixer, it will take about 6 minutes or so. So you know the butter and sugar are creamed when they're slightly lighter than when you started. So if I lift that head up there, you can see it's lighter in colour, looks really creamy. And now what we're going to do, I've got 1 large egg that's beaten here. It's at room temperature because using a room temperature egg means that it's less likely to curdle when you add it. So I'm going to carry on mixing it at a low speed, and I'm going to add it just a little by little and then turn it up to mix it in. Okay, so I've added all the egg, and because I did it really slowly, it hasn't curdled. You can see there it still looks like it's all the sort of in the same mass. If it curdles, it goes into all little bits. Don't worry if it does. Once we add the flour, it will be okay, so it's not the end of the world. I'm going to add in now, I've got some vanilla extract. It's really important to use this rather than vanilla essence, because essence has never been near a vanilla pod, whereas this stuff has. I'm going to add about a tablespoon. This is going to give a really lovely flavour. So I'm going to just mix that in. Okay, that's all mixed in. So the last job is to put in the plain flour and the baking powder, and then we're going to chill the biscuit dough. The chilling stage is really, really important because it lets the biscuit dough relax a bit. So it means that they taste much better and they feel better when you eat them. And it also means that when you come to cut out the biscuits, they're going to keep their shape better. So because you want a cold biscuit dough to hit a hot oven, and then it won't spread as much. So I'm now just going to fold this flour in using the lowest setting really gently. And then once it's all come together, it'll be ready to chill. Okay, so the biscuit dough has now combined, and you can see there, it's a really lovely colour, it's really lovely and soft, but if we tried to roll that now, it'd be too sticky. So we do need to get it all into the cling film. Now this is quite a messy job. So I'm going to use my hands to do it, just so I can get every last bit. Just push it all off, and then we're going to get our hands into the bowl as well. Don't forget that you can get the whole recipe for this by visiting the website. It's also in the description box below. And if you like it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And also tell me if you make it. How did it work? Did you add any other flavours? We'd love to know. Quite sticky and messy, but it's the best way of doing it is just to get your hands in. And then fold the cling film over. Try to make sure there aren't any big air gaps there. And there we go. That's going to go into the fridge for about 40 minutes. It can go in for longer, just to chill and harden up. Okay, so the biscuit dough is out of the fridge now and it's nice and chilled. So I'm going to unwrap it, and we'll use a little bit of flour on the work surface just to stop it from sticking. Pop this onto the top there, and then a little bit more. Remember, this is quite a sticky dough, so you do need a fair amount. So just rub it in on either side. We have our rolling pin. You should roll in one direction because you will get a better biscuit. You'll get a less tough dough than if you seesaw backwards and forwards, but it's quite hard to stop yourself sometimes. It just sort of naturally happens. So you'll see I'm moving it 45 degrees with every time I roll. Now, if this happens here, where it sort of squidges open, just sort of push it back together. Don't worry too much, these things happen. You're going to be cutting this anyway into sort of melted snowman shapes, which look a bit like puddles. So keep going until it's about 4 millimeters thick, okay? And then stop at that point because you want to have a reasonably thick biscuit. Okay, so I've got a sharp knife here. Now you can use a cutter if you want, that's fine. But obviously your snowmen would look quite circular. And because they've melted, I think they should sort of melt into a puddle shape. So what I'm going to do is use the knife just to, so that's one biscuit just there. And what's lovely about this is that you can make your snowman shapes according to how your dough has rolled, so you don't have to worry about as much re-rolling as you do if you use a cutter, because you don't have as many scraps. What I've got here is some baking parchment, it's non-stick. If you do have some scraps left over, you can re-roll them, but remember that once you re-roll, it won't be as nice, the biscuit will be a bit more tough. So I've cut all of the biscuits out. They're now ready to re-chill in the fridge for about 15 minutes. Don't be tempted to leave this stage out as much as you want to get them in the oven. If you don't do it, when you put them into the oven, they will spread further and they won't look as good. So these will be baked at 180 degrees centigrade, that's gas mark 4, for between 10 and 12 minutes until they're starting to brown on the edges, and then you know they're done. So the biscuits are now completely cooled and they're ready to decorate. This is the really fun bit. If you've got kids or young relatives, do get them involved in this because the creations they come up with are often much better than the adults. So this is your melted snowman base. And all I've got here is some icing sugar that I have just mixed with a little bit of warm water. You could also use lemon juice if you wanted, or you could use, if it were for adults, you could use some kind of clear alcohol. It's up to you. So I make it quite thick just because it's much easier to control when it's thicker than if it's really thin, it sort of rolls off. So spread it using the spoon over the biscuit. Then you take one of your white marshmallows, and I've made these tiny little carrot noses using orange fondant. So to give it those lovely little lines that you often get on carrots, I'm just going to use a knife just to put those on. And then I'm going to take a tiny bit more icing, just a very edge. Because it's white, it doesn't matter if it sort of goes all over the place because it's going onto a white marshmallow. And stick that on like that. And then I'm going to pop him just there, and then, oh, I've got some sweets here, and these are going to be like the buttons on a jacket, so you could use all the same colours. I'm going to put 1, 2, and 3. And then I've got this black icing pen. You get these in the baking aisle. Some of them are really tiny. This one's quite a big one, but you push it so that the icing is coming all the way out, and then tiny little dots for an eye there. And then you sometimes need to use your finger just to kind of, 2 eyes, and then you can do a mouth if you want, but because of where the carrot is, you don't really see it. And then once this icing has dried, you might be able to do it now, you can put 2 arms like that, and put hands on like that, and the same here. And there's our poor little snowman who has melted in the heat of the kitchen. So rather a large biscuit. These would be really good for a bake sale if you were doing one for school or, you know, for your local community. Really good fun to take into work as well. So I'm going to pop him on there and then just keep going, really. So take another one and keep going until you're finished. I hope that you really like the snowman biscuits. All of the details are in the description box below. Don't forget to subscribe if you like it, and do tweet me at hollybellmummy and at scofffood to let me know if you made it. Love to see photos, and I'll see you next time.